I'm Irfan Pabaney, and I'm happy to be doing this live with Easy Diner. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. I'm doing a vegetarian pasta. I'm not doing it with any sauce. I'm doing an aglio olio with lots of 3 or 4 different vegetables, some herbs, nice and simple. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have been cooking now for about 29 years, and I started my career cooking at a restaurant way back in 1992, a restaurant called Under the Over. A lot of you may or may not know about that restaurant. Yeah, it's been a very, very interesting journey. I came back to India in 1980. I was actually born in South America, in Colombia. My dad was with the United Nations. I grew up in the Philippines, and so I was 9 years. I lived in the Philippines for 9 years. So although I've forgotten all of my Spanish, me and my siblings speak Tagalog. So yeah, that's it. I've been in India for 40 years now, I mean, I guess I hope all of you stay safe. Because of this lockdown, we're able to do a lot of this fun stuff. So let me take you now into the kitchen to give you a brief on exactly what it is I'm going to be doing. So all my ingredients are ready. I'm just going to go through them one by one. Black pepper, of course, olive oil, the broccoli, which we've blanched. Now what I like to do is, in boiling water, put your broccoli florets in, swirl it around once, and take them out immediately. It doesn't need too much of cooking. It stays nice, crunchy, and if you look at this again, it looks really nice and green. So that's what you're trying to achieve here. My pasta is boiled al dente, and so you don't want it to be overcooked. A lot of times, so the problem here is you don't want it to be overcooked, but you don't want it to be undercooked. In Italy, they like it a little really al dente to the bite. Indians don't like it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Cook it that little bit extra. Cook it that 1 minute extra. Nothing's gonna happen. Just make sure it's not mushy and it holds its shape exactly like this. Baby corn, lovely texture. So when I cook, I look at a lot of elements. I look at texture. I look at flavor. I look at how the whole dish eventually comes together. Baby corn, as long as you've not overcooked it, adds a little bit of sweetness. It adds fabulous crunch to your dish eventually. I've got chouli beans. You can use French beans. I like chouli beans because of, again, texture, flavor, very nice. Very few people put beans in their pasta. You might not see too many people doing that. I do it. I think it's very good. I think it adds a lot to the dish. I would have loved to have added capers and sun-dried tomatoes. Unfortunately, because of the lockdown, we didn't get I couldn't get the sun-dried tomatoes or the capers, but you want to put this into this particular pasta that you're doing. I've got some basil, which I have roughly chopped. There's this whole thing about whether you slice through basil or you tear it. I typically tear it. I've chopped this. It's not going to make a difference to your dish at the end of the day. So you will have the Puritans who will say that, the purists who will say that you have to tear your basil. It's okay. It's fine if you chop it. We move on to the rest of the stuff. I've got chopped garlic. I've got olives. I have got chopped parsley. So what you want to do with the parsley is you want to rinse it out and dry it out before you chop it, just so that it doesn't become pachka. I've got some herb breadcrumbs right here. I've got some chili flakes, and I've got some Parmesan cheese, which we're gonna grate a little later. I know it's a little tough, and I can't take too many questions, but I'm gonna start the cooking process. So keep your eyes glued. So I'm gonna heat the oil. I'm using a non-stick pan. You can use a heavy bottom pan, but just make sure you temper the pan really well by heating up the olive oil to a very high degree and then bringing it back down. I don't need to do this because I'm using a non-stick pan. So yeah, this is what we're going to do. What you definitely don't want to do is you don't want to burn your garlic. It's the worst thing, the worst flavor you can get. Make sure that your flame isn't too high. When you're tossing your pasta, you would want a high flame, but just make sure you don't burn your garlic. So some olive oil. So I'm going to use the spoon, the spatula, or the wooden spoon for cooking, but it's mainly just to toss everything together. I just like tossing it straight in the pan. So once you get this really nice smell, I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. I'm going to start with the garlic. Chili flakes. See, when you can sense the garlic getting just a little brown. Freshly ground black. Yeah. Some salt. Thyme. some more salt. I use my fingers, andaz, always. I've turned up the flame just a little bit. A little more black pepper. Sorry. Now let's taste. I'm adding the olives now. Yeah, so there you have your olives. Olives in brine, so it's already going to be slightly salty. Yeah. So now we're almost done. Chucking a little more basil into that. I'm putting a little more parsley into that. Remember, once you finish boiling your pasta and it cools down, everyone knows this, but you need to sprinkle it with a little bit of olive oil and toss it all together so it doesn't stick. I'm gonna taste that. So the crunch from the beans, just really, really nice. The baby corn, yeah. You can listen to how good it tastes. Okay, I'm now gonna put my herb breadcrumbs into this. If you guys practice hard enough, you'll be able to toss it the way I toss it. And I am just going to grate some Parmesan over it right now. Just a little. You can use a finer grater if you want to. Just one more. That's it. Easy, not difficult. Looks super simple as crazy. Again, make sure you're not burning your garlic. It just has to be so. I'm gonna plate this up and then we're gonna taste. I'm gonna sprinkle a little more parsley over it and then a little more Parmesan cheese. Lots of beans. Try and get everything. I'm just gonna do a little bit of parsley, a little more Parmesan cheese, and although we have been tasting, now I'm gonna taste. So whenever I eat my pasta, I want a little bit of olive and I want a little bit of the baby corn and the pasta and the broccoli, and then you take a bite full of everything. It was yum. So this is dinner for me. Try it at home. Ask many questions because otherwise you're never going to learn. And Easy Diner, thank you for having me on your handle, and I shall see you guys soon. Done? What's this done? Yeah.